this week, there are no Fed speakers, finally, okay? Those Fed speakers, you know what? Generally speaking, they don't say anything. Nothing that's important. Powell is the only one that we care about. At this point in time, there's really nothing else you could say before the next FOMC meeting. Okay, so right now, it's like, okay, we know what's coming up. There are going to be economic data. That's fine, but we got rate cuts coming up. That's good. 25 basis points in November, 25 basis points in December. Good. But right now, what everyone's waiting for is that election, right? The big election, policies, new ones coming up. That's what everyone's waiting for. And not only that, right, the upcoming rate cuts that are coming. But yeah, we got a lot of economic data. We'll see if any of these really make a difference this week, unless they come out with really drastically bad or good numbers. If they're in line, I don't think they're going to make any difference. However, if there's something like, say, inflation coming in super high, which would be bad, or GDP coming in super low, one of these, coming in super high, super low, that may affect markets. But if it's just coming in slightly below or slightly above or in line, I don't think we're going to see much this week because, again, I think people are just going to be front running their investments this week and next week because last week, October, and plus we got about a week and a half before, no, basically 1 week, really one full week before elections. And I think everyone is just trying to beef up what they can before that happens. So it'll be an interesting week. I think it's going to be a really, really, really interesting week this week. It'll be really interesting this week. I guess we'll see. We're starting out the week pretty good so far. Metaplanet, who's not in the US, in Japan, has become Asia's largest Bitcoin holder with 1,000 Bitcoin. See, that's the thing about DCAing. A lot of people I saw on X, this is why X is horrible, all right? You got a lot. X is mostly filled with trolls, okay? People that are miserable. And I saw when Metaplanet started, DCAing, and people were making fun of who cares if Metaplanet buys $1 billion worth of yen of Bitcoin? It's nothing. It's like $2 million worth of Bitcoin. And you got all these trolls making fun of Metaplanet, yet when they're living in their mom's basement and can't afford anything. But throughout this year, they've been DCAing. Now they have 1,000 Bitcoin, and that's close to $70 million worth of Bitcoin. That's significant. And that $70 million will probably turn into 300, 400 million by the end of this cycle. And then by the end of the next cycle could be in the billions. That's the whole point of DCA, right? And now, even today, 1,000 Bitcoin is no joke. That's no chump change. That is a whole lot of Bitcoin, right? This is the whole point of DCA. It doesn't matter how big you are. Of course, 1,000 Bitcoin to, say, someone like Michael Saylor, that's nothing because he has 250,000 Bitcoin. Yeah, it's nothing to someone like him, but to an average retail investor, how many retail investors have 1,000 Bitcoin? Basically none, right? So it doesn't matter. Everyone can start out, but the power of DCA is the same. Doesn't matter if you're a retail investor, you're a public traded company, you're an institution, right? You have to start somewhere, and it adds up over time. And this is very significant, not only from a holding perspective, but their stock, just like MicroStrategy, has been flying like sky high. This is another reason why someone like Microsoft is actually putting a vote to see if they should invest in Bitcoin. Maybe the board doesn't like it, but the shareholders definitely are paying attention. The shareholders may be voting yes because all the companies that have been investing and buying Bitcoin and putting on their balance sheet, their stocks have been skyrocketing, just like MicroStrategy. Now, with today's rise, they're probably above $50 billion in market cap. They have outperformed even NVIDIA, and that is no small feat. The way they're going, they may be $100 billion company by the end of next year, maybe even higher, maybe like a $200 billion company. Do you realize how large that is? That's like the size of Walt Disney. That's the size of like Netflix. Just for a company to hold Bitcoin to be the size of Disney or Netflix or Coca-Cola, that is crazy if you think about it. But that's where they're heading. Anyways, that's where Metaplanet is heading to, right? They just keep DCAing, and it's the same thing with retail investors. Just DCA. And for, companies that can't buy Bitcoin itself, I guess the next best thing is, well, you could buy MicroStrategy stock, or you could buy Bitcoin ETFs. I would say, for selfish reasons, buy Bitcoin ETFs are better because, why? Those funds actually have to go buy physical Bitcoin, right? If you buy MicroStrategy stock, Saylor doesn't have to buy Bitcoin with it, but he probably will because he's going to just raise more debt to go buy Bitcoin. We know he's going to do that, but he doesn't have to. But if you buy ETFs, they legit have to buy more Bitcoin because that's how it works. And that is what's happening. Last week, 15,000 Bitcoin was bought by the ETFs and only 3,000 was mined. That's actually, I thought there was actually a lot more bought, but still, that's 5x the number. And just look at Friday. Friday, a massive $402 million inflow, mostly again due to BlackRock. BlackRock's appetite, if you haven't been paying attention, have increased dramatically in the last 2 weeks. Almost a 300 million inflow by themselves on Friday, but just look at it. 165, 317, and then here's a 330, 309, 393, 290. I mean, today could be another 300, 400 the way we're going right now. BlackRock's appetite cannot be satisfied at this point. And all this is a precursor to Bitcoin's breakout. You could see right here, this is charting the ETF's holdings breakout. You could see that since March, the ETFs have been up and down, up and down. We have inflows and outflows, but BlackRock's the only one that's been inflowing, but everything else has been outflowing, inflowing. But now we're definitely seeing a breakout of inflows. Everything is inflowing, not just BlackRock, everything is inflowing. So what does this mean? This is a precursor. Just like how MicroStrategy has been breaking out. It broke out from its March high. That's number one. Number two, now you're seeing the ETF holdings breaking out. Right? What's number three? Bitcoin breaking out from its March high. It's that simple.